Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Brinda Devi, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Brinda Devi. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 55, text number 3. Tam Shambhara Kamarupi Ritvatokam Anirdasham Saviditvatmana Shatrum Prasyo Danvatyagad Griham Tam Shambhara Kamarupi Ritvatokam Anirdasham Saviditvatmana Shatrum Prasyo Danvatyagad Griham. Tam Shambhara Kamarupi Tam Shambhara Kamarupi Ritvatokam Anirdasham Savanitva Shatrum Tam him Shambharaha, the demon Shambhara, Kama, as he desired, Rupi, assuming forms, Ritva, stealing, Tokam, the child, Anidasham, not yet 10 days old, Saha, he Shambhara, Viditva, recognizing, Atmanaha, his own. Shatrum, enemy. Prasya, throwing. Udanvati, into the sea. Agat, went. Griham, to his home. Translation. The demon Shambhara, who could assume any form he desired, kidnapped the infant before he was even 10 days old. Understanding Pradyumna to be his enemy, Shambhara threw him into the sea and then returned home. Please repeat. The demon Shambhara, who could assume any form he desired, kidnapped the infant before he was even 10 days old. Understanding Pradyumna to be his enemy, Shambhara threw him into the sea and then returned home. Purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that according to the Vishnu Purana, Pradyumna was kidnapped on the 6th day after his birth. And we'll read the commentaries of the Acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Shambhara stole the infant before he was less than 10 days old. Vishnu Purana says he stole him on the 6th day after birth. Shambhara knew Kamadev was his enemy because he learned from Narada that Kamadev wanted to kill him. Jiva Goswami. The surprising nature of Krishna's pastimes is described till the end of the chapter. Shambhara could assume any form he desired by his power of illusion, such as a nurse, in order to steal the child. Pradyumna was stolen on the 6th day after his birth. And then he quotes, O sage, on the 6th day after birth, Kala Shambhara stole Pradyumna from the confinement room since he recognized him as his killer. Shambhara was informed that an enemy would kill him by Narada or some knowledgeable fortune teller who desired that evil Shambhara would be killed. He then began looking for that person. The demon, intoxicated with fighting spirit by the influence of the Lord's Maya, understood that Pradyumna was the enemy and was not prevented from taking him. Sanatana Goswami. His glories are described in the rest of the chapter. Shambhara means he who produced his own auspicious death. He stole Pradyumna. He could assume any form like a nurse. He could steal the child because the child was not even 10 days old, a baby. He quotes the same verse from the Vishnu Purana. Then Shambhara was informed that an enemy would kill him by Narada. He knew that Pradyumna desired to kill him. Thus he took Pradyumna as an enemy. He threw him with effort far away, deep in the ocean. All this was by the desire of the Lord. Otherwise it could not happen. The demon, intoxicated with fighting spirit by the influence of the Lord's Maya, understood that Pradyumna was the enemy and was not prevented from taking him. And finally, just read the section from Krishna book, which is related to these verses. Srila Prabhupada writes, there was a demon of the name Shambhara who was destined to be killed by Pradyumna. The Shambhara demon knew of his destiny, and as soon as he learned that Pradyumna had been born, he took the shape of a woman and kidnapped the baby from the maternity home less than 10 days after his birth. The demon took him and threw him directly into the sea. But as it is said, whoever is protected by Krishna, no one can kill, and whoever is destined to be killed by Krishna, no one can protect. When Pradyumna was thrown into the sea, a big fish immediately swallowed him. Later, this fish was caught in the net of a fisherman, and the fish was later sold to the Shambhara demon. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayan Dadati Svapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarine. So I offer my obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Seek your blessings to do this service of speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we see somebody who is trying very hard to avoid their destiny, and it just comes right back at him, right to his doorstep, right? So Shambhara heard from Narada Muni that the son of Rukmini and Krishna would be his death. So somehow he took a form of a nurse. He went in there when the baby was, less than 10 days old, took the baby, threw him into the ocean. Okay, that's it. Now I'm safe. No, that doesn't work that way. Because as Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book, Mare Krishna Rakeke, Rake Krishna Mare Ke. If Krishna desires to protect somebody, no one can kill that person. And if Krishna desires to kill somebody, if Krishna wants to protect somebody, no one can hurt that person. So in either case, Krishna is always the supreme controller, and we can't escape Krishna's plans. So the baby is going to be swallowed by a big fish. The fish is going to be caught by a fisherman. So they're going to bring it to the kitchen of Shambhara and then open it up, and the baby's going to be found. And then, the baby's going to grow up to Pradumna, kill the demon. And so Shambhara, although he tried his best, he couldn't avoid what was meant to happen. So I'm going to focus a little bit about Krishna is our ultimate protector, and having full faith in that shelter, that Krishna, if we take full shelter of Krishna and depend upon him, then we have no more fear. Because if we are depending on our own arrangements, we're always going to be afraid, because it's fighting against the illusory energy of Krishna. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that his illusory energy is insurmountable, Daivi Shakti. It's really, really powerful. You can't cross it on your own. Daiviyesha Gunamai. So the only way is by surrendering to Krishna, and that way, then we can actually be peaceful and go along with Krishna's plans instead of fighting Krishna's plans. So if we think about in the Shastras of other people who try their best to avoid destiny, the first person that came to my mind was Kamsa, who heard about the prophecy, the 8th child of Devaki is going to kill you. And he tried every which way and kept trying, sending demons after demon after demon, and they were all being killed. But even up to the last moment, he was thinking, okay, just bring them to Mathura. Basically, he was bringing death right to his doorstep, but he was like, okay, an elephant. First, I'll put a big elephant. Now, these big wrestlers. He was again and again trying to change. And I was thinking, what could they have done differently? Is if they had accepted, okay, this is the arrangement. Now, anyway, we're going to have to die. So let's see how I can try to use this life in the best possible way, instead of trying to, his whole life, he was just working to try to avoid what was meant to happen, So he wasn't even able to enjoy the life that he had, in the sense. It's described that he was, while eating, while sleeping, while walking about, he was just constantly thinking. In one way, it was good, because he was constantly thinking about Krishna. There's a funny, and another example is Hiranyakashipu also, how he was trying to protect himself in all ways. Okay, I'll cover all my bases, not on the land, not in the sea, not in the day, not in the night, not by any weapon, not by any human being, not by any animal. Like, he just tried to cover all his bases, but Krishna finds the loophole and could kill him anyway. And there's another funny story about somebody. It's a kind of like a just a story, like a proverb or like a lesson story. Like, somebody was walking in a city and he saw death personified beckoning to him. And he got so scared, he got onto his horse, and he drove 500 miles to a faraway place, town, and he went. And then that night, there was a knock on the door. He opened the door, and there was death personified. And he said, "What are you doing here? I saw you in the town over 500 miles ago." And he said, "Yeah, and you were beckoning to me." He said, "I wasn't beckoning to you. I was just surprised. Like, what are you doing here? I was supposed to have an appointment with you here in this town." So it's just a funny story how we try so hard to escape what's meant to happen. But if instead we try to go along with whatever Krishna desires for us, and it may seem like, oh, it's, other people, the demons who do this, but we may find in our own lives that we may have a tendency also to try to adjust things in such a way so that I have a smooth life and nothing ever goes wrong, that everything is perfect. And it's not wrong to try to make arrangements so that so that we can have a peaceful mind frame and peaceful body so that we can serve Krishna. But it can go to an extent where we over-endeavor or overwork. At least I notice for myself that sometimes it will come to a point like, okay, what about this? What about this? And you get into an anxiety mode and overdo it, And then you can tell you're overdoing it because you get more and more anxious and more afraid and uptight inside. Whereas a devotee, they do the needful, but in the back of their mind, they're always conscious. Krishna is my supreme protector. Krishna is my supreme maintainer. And he will protect me in all circumstances. So I do my best, but at the same time, I completely leave it up to Krishna, whatever the final results are, whatever Krishna wants, because I know he has my best interest in heart. He loves me. He's my best friend, more than anybody else. So I have full faith in that. And that is one of the 6 symptoms of surrender. So we know that there's 6 symptoms of surrender to Krishna. The first being anukulyasya sankalpa, which is accepting things that are favorable to devotional service. The second is pratikulyasya varjanam, which means rejecting things that are not favorable to devotional service. The third is rakshishyatiti vishvaso, strong conviction that Krishna is my only protector. Goptrite varam tata, accepting Krishna as one's guardian. So that's the fourth one, that he's my real father, mother, protector. And it's kind of similar, but he's my guardian, he's my maintainer. And then atma nikshepa means full self-surrender. And the last one is karpanye, humility. These are the 6 symptoms of surrender. Now, if you think about somebody in the Shastra that really exemplifies who took full shelter of Krishna. I mean, there's so many examples, right, of devotees who've taken full shelter of Krishna. Is there some devotees that come to your mind when you think about full shelter, who've taken full shelter of Krishna? Prahlad, that's the first one that came to my mind too. Any other? Haridas Thakur, yes. Bali Maharaj, yes. Draupadi, right? So the one that, of course, first came to all of our minds is Prahlad Maharaj, because he was in such a helpless condition, right? He couldn't do anything. We're talking about you do our best and, we just depend on Krishna, but there was no way that he could do anything, because his father, first of all, and not only was it his father, but the king of the entire, not only the material planets, but also the spirit. He was kind of taking charge of the whole heavenly planets too. So he was completely, he had no other shelter besides Krishna. So in that situation, when his father was trying to kill him in all these ways, he just took full shelter of the holy name. And in that way, we could see again and again, Krishna was protecting him. And in the prayers that Prahlad offers prayers at the end when Lord Nrsingadev comes, those prayers are so deep because they come from the heart of a pure devotee. And in 2 of those prayers, it relates to this topic of protection. One of them, Prahlad, and talk about, if you hear somebody talking about a topic and they went through it themselves, it's really powerful, right? So talk about somebody who's went through the hardest times and how he took shelter of Krishna. And then when he talks about how to find protection from Krishna. That's really powerful. So one of the verses is 7:9-17. Yasmat priya priya viyoga samyoga janma. Because of a combination and separation of pleasing and displeasing situations. Like we're always going to have pleasing and displeasing situations in our life, right? Shokagnina sakala yoni shadayamanaha. The living entities are burning in the fire of suffering in this material world, of lamentation. However, if they try to find solutions, dukoshadam tadapi dukam atadyaham, the remedies taken to try to counteract those problems, usually what happens is they bring more misery than the miseries themselves. And finally, bhuman brahmati vadame tavadasa yogam. So then I feel, Prahlada is saying, that there's no way to counteract these things. I just want to take full shelter of you, and dasya tavadasya yogam. Please, vadame tavadasya yogam. Please teach me how to instruct me in your service, which is the real remedy. This is the real remedy. So we may experience in our life that when we try to adjust things, try to fix things, we may actually make ourselves more miserable. First of all, it creates more anxiety. And second of all, sometimes the remedies that we take can actually cause more problems. And even just a common example is people who want to take these medicines, and sometimes on the back of the medicines is like all these, in small little text, all the side effects that can sometimes be more miserable than the first reason why you took the medicine. So that's just one small example, but we may have other examples in our own lives of how that happens. And Prabhupada in the purport mentions that the real remedy is transcendental loving service to Krishna, because that can counteract the real miseries, because then we are connected to who we really are, instead of trying to adjust the dream world, right? Right now we're in a dream situation. We think that we're this body, this is our life, but it's actually just a dream, and we're trying to adjust things in the dream. But if we are awakened to our spiritual consciousness, then that's the real remedy. If you wake up from the dream, right, then you're really happy and really free. And then the other verse of Prahlad Maharaj is 7:9-19. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro. People think that my father and mother, little child, the father and mother will protect him. Prahlad is saying, no, even the child has no real shelter, even from the father and mother. I mean, the father and mother do their best to protect the child, but if the time comes and the child needs to leave the world, the parents can't stop it. Nartasya chagadam, even medicine can't help a suffering person from a disease if it's not Krishna's will. Udvanti majato, no, even a boat can't save a drowning person in an ocean if they're meant to drown. And tapasya tat pravidir, counteraction invented for stopping the suffering of material miseries, it's just temporary. Ihan jeshatas, temporary. And then finally he says, if they're neglected by you, tavad vibho tanubritam tvad upekshitanam. All this will happen if they're neglected by you. My Lord Nrsingadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, if father and mother cannot protect their child, a physician in medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. And in the purport, I just want to read one section of this purport. Ultimately, the shelter is the Lord, and one who takes shelter of the Lord is protected. This is guaranteed. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Therefore, unless one is protected by the mercy of the Lord, no remedial measure can act effectively. One should consequently depend fully on the causeless mercy of the Lord. Although as a matter of routine duty, one must, of course, accept other remedial measures. No one can protect one who is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, everyone is trying to counteract the onslaught of material nature, but everyone is ultimately fully controlled by material nature. So Krishna is our real protector and our real shelter. We're very, very small. And if we remember how small we are, instead of making that a depressing thought, it actually makes us feel very comfortable because I let go. I let go of trying so hard to fight with being the controller, which is impossible for a jiva. I just let go and I let Krishna take charge. I do, as a routine, I do my things that I need to do, but in the back of my mind, I completely know that ultimately I can't control things. And that way a devotee is fearless. If you see a child, like a little child, how fearless they are, they just run across the street because they don't even think, they're not even concerned about anything because they know my father's there, my mother's there. Just looking at a child gives us the kind of the inspiration of how we should feel in our life. Like, I'm okay. Krishna's there, my protector. And even if something bad happens to me, that's actually meant. Krishna arranged that for a reason. And I can't understand it right now, but I accept it. I accept it. And that acceptance is also part of the freedom that comes to us. You know, that we don't have to try to counteract whatever Krishna's trying to teach us or make us go through. I was thinking about Queen Kunti in the Queen Kunti's prayers, how there's one prayer where she talks about a whole list of the situations that they were put through. And at the end she goes, Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanat, poison, big fire, Purusharta man-eaters, then what other things? Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Kritrataha, in a vicious assembly, being exiled in the forest. Mrde Neka Mahara Tastrato, in the battle of, many battles, Greek generals were fighting with weapons. Then the last Drone Astratash, the weapon of Ashwatthama. So many different ways that we were, imagine going through just one of those, right? Take one of them, like we would just be finished with one of them. Imagine going out again and again through this series of dangers. And how does she end the prayer? Like for us, we would go, oh, why did you put me through? And for myself, like, oh, Krishna, why are you putting me through all this? But her end of her prayer is, Chashma Hare Birakshitaha, you protected us completely. It's a mood of complete gratitude. Krishna, thank you. I was meant to go through all of this. And it's your mercy that I went through this, that I could depend upon you. I could learn to depend upon you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Krishna. So that's the mood of a devotee. Instead of why me, why is this happening, that victim mentality, it's thank you so much. I know I'm meant to go through so much more, and you just gave me a small token. Tatenu kampam susamik shamanam bunjana ivatvam vritam vitakam. So a devotee, Evatmik Ritam Vipakam, a devotee he knows that when he goes through hard times that he was meant to go through this. And with his body, mind, and words, he just continues to take shelter of Krishna. And that pleases Krishna so much that he says, this person becomes the rightful heir to become liberated. So this is something that we all, talking for myself, because it's really a high level, but in small ways we can start to practice in our life. That when reversals happen, or when things get a little tough, who's our shelter? What's our ultimate, what is our mentality? That's the most important thing. It's not so much about what we do, because, if my car breaks down, and it's scary because I'm out and I don't have anybody else, I know I need to call somebody, I need to look up, I'm going to feel anxiety. It's natural. The body's going to feel anxious, the body is going to be trembling a little bit, the mind's going to be anxious. But what's my internal shelter? Like, if the person doesn't come, am I taking shelter in the arrangements, or am I taking shelter of Krishna? So it's an internal kind of state of mind, which we can start to practice when hard times come. And we can be grateful when those hard times come, because it's an opportunity to practice for the big challenges that are going to come. So practicing in the little things. And another way I was thinking about taking shelter of Krishna is when we are about to take up some task that may be a little challenging for us, to first, in our minds, touch the lotus feet of our Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and say, please help me to do this as an instrument. My body is, struggling. My mind is afraid. I don't know how I can do this, but you please use me as an instrument. I'm going to try to do this as yours. It's not about me. I'm just going to try to serve. You please guide me. And then we do the service or whatever is meant to be done in a way of complete dependence. And whatever the result is, we leave that up to Krishna without attachment. So that's another little way that we can practice in our life when we have challenging, let's say a challenging service that comes on our plate, like how we first take shelter, do it, and then let go of the results. Whatever happens after that is not in our hands. And another way I was thinking about taking shelter is when we're chanting the holy name, like the japa period that we have. Instead of thinking of it as, oh, I have to do it as my, like I have to get it over with. If we can use that time, like even if it's a small bubble of time where we are cut away from the rest of the thoughts that come in our mind, like, oh, I have to do this, and the anxiety that mind gets, and we can somehow cut it off for a little bit, pray to Krishna that we can. It's actually a blessing if we can. And then go into that space of just being with Krishna, just a soul with Krishna, with nothing else. I'm not a, whatever designations we have. I'm not a wife, a teacher, whatever, this, that, whatever things we have as our designations. I'm just yours, Krishna. I'm just its servant. Please help me to connect to you. And then even if it's for 5 minutes, we have that shelter moment, like it's kind of like a bubble. And even if we just do, let's say, just 5 minutes of that, it can really pull us through the rest of the day, just full shelter moment where we're just, okay, I'm just with you, Krishna. And this is just me and you, and I'm just with you. And I don't, whatever else happens, I'm happy to be in your shelter. And that if we practice that, and then slowly it can increase. And then someday it will just be a constant meditation throughout the day. So that's another way I was thinking about how to practice this dependence on Krishna. So to conclude, I just wanted to read a bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He, in the Sharanagati bhajans, for each of the limbs of Sharanagati, he gives many songs for each one of them. And the songs that he gives for Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishvasa Palan, to maintain firm faith that Krishna will give all protection, he writes, and this is also nice, that before chanting japa, if we read these prayers, then we can get into that mood. Or before challenging times, if we read this, we can remember Krishna's my maintainer, my protector. Ekana bhojinu prabhu tomara charan, ashoka bhayamrita purna sarvakshan. O Lord, now I have realized that your lotus feet award one freedom from lamentation and fear. They are always a source of nectar. Sakala chadiyatuva charanakamale, poriyachi aminata tava padatale. O Lord, I have given up everything and have taken shelter at your lotus feet in all respects. Tava pada padmanat rakshibe amar, araraksha karta nahi e bhava samsare. O Lord, I am confident that your lotus feet will give me all protection. I have no other protector in this material world. Now I have understood that I am your eternal servant, and as such, it is your responsibility to maintain me. I have suffered great distress as a result of leading a life that is independent of you, but now by surrendering at your lotus feet, all my miseries have disappeared. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, performed severe austerities to attain your lotus feet. Having received the shelter of those lotus feet, Shiva becomes glorious. Brahma attained perfection by surrendering to the lotus feet, and Narada Muni always meditates upon those lotus feet within his heart. I joyfully hold upon my head those lotus feet that award one fearlessness. I always sing the glories of your lotus feet and dance in ecstasy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has full faith that your lotus feet will deliver him from the danger of material existence. I love Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayataksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham
Bhajami. Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane Namaste Atsoti Deve Gurmani Vachar Nagini Visesha Sunyavadi Bashachare Satarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dvaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gaurata Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Radha, Aganokinana Radha, Aganokinana Radha. Naya Radha, Aganokinana Radha, Aganokinana Radha. Naya Radha, hey, Radha, Naya Radha, Naya Radha. Nayarat, hey, Rade, Nayarande, Jayarate, Jayarate, Virat, hey, Jai, Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Paravidikacharya, also Teta Satashi.
We'd like to welcome all the guests who are here for tomorrow's Vyasa Puja ceremony. And we'd like to remind everyone that we'll be having Harinam Sankirtan in Hillsborough at Weaver Street Market Sunday at 11:30 in the morning. Please come. Hare Krishna. Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhavamaha. I love this outfit. Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Das Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nainam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Gaduridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabrukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishavapadamritam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatu Lampato Na Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've revealed all the best. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself devoid than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain, even if he handles me roughly or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shasika Ki Jai.